Welcome everyone. Love to introduce you to Comstock, renewable energy company. I want to highlight, my name is Corrado De Gasperis, Executive Chairman and CEO. I want to highlight that we have in the audience Kevin Chrysler, who's our President and CFO, and Billy McCarthy, who is our Chief Operating Officer. If you get a chance, to say hello or with any questions, both gentlemen as well as myself are here to do that. I will make forward-looking statements in this presentation. Please take note of that information. So Comstock is a new company. Comstock completed 2 major acquisitions during 2021, and we'd like to talk to you about where we're going and exactly how we're doing it. Our vision is a net zero carbon world, except that we're very, very focused with immediate real world today solutions, technologies that have material impacts on decarbonization, and they're extremely profitable. So it's a message that we want people to hear and people to understand. When you think about the most basic science about what's happening with our climate, it's pretty simple, right? To the extent we're using all of this energy, to the extent we're combusting all this power, we're emitting greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, methane, getting trapped in the atmosphere and impacting us. We have defined a method that synchronizes the rate at which we decarbonize by the products that we make with the rate at which we make money very, very profitably. So the only way that we can achieve a true net zero emission is through the universal transformation of energy use. And our solutions are focused on just that. When we talk about energy, we talk about mobility as being a huge part of that problem. Mobility alone, the movement of people, the movement of goods, transportation, accounts for almost 20% of the global emissions. Remarkably, a quarter of that is in the United States alone, and remarkably, 75% of that is on roadway fuel burn. So you're going to see that our solutions deal with the problem head on, profitably. We're accelerating the commercialization of decarbonizing technologies that are different, that are ready, that deliver exponential growth. And we're going to tell you how we're doing that. It's in 2 categories: cellulosic fuels, which is the taking of woody biomass into biofuels, as well as electrification products, which is the recycling of lithium-ion battery metals for lithium, nickel, cobalt, and other electrification products. Talk to you about both of those. In the cellulosic fuel arena, we're also advocating, affecting, enabling reforestation. It's a meaningful thing when you think about where the woody biomass is. You see it on the map. There's a massive amount of available, unused woody biomass in the United States alone. We're targeting almost 100 million tons of material. We're targeting only a fraction of that 100 million tons to enable a significant business and growth, which I'll quantify in just a minute. Canada is twice as big as the United States when it comes to the availability of these woody biomasses. We are not only affecting a carbon neutral solution for biofuels, at the same time we're enabling and advocating and affecting reforestation. So when you think about oil, when you think about fossil fuels, imagine extracting carbon neutral equivalent to petroleum from a renewable source. Imagine a highly profitable feedstock that replaces petroleum-based biofuels. We don't have to imagine that anymore. We have the solution, we have the technology. We understand where the world is going, certainly in a passenger car context, right? We're seeing a dramatic move to EVs. It's aggressive. The infrastructure is not in place. Our part of the solution is the recycling of these lithium-ion batteries with unique technology that extracts lithium first. We don't see our competitors doing the same thing. It enables a much more profitable solution at much, much lower volumes, but we see where the volumes are going. They're dramatic. They're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on these critical minerals, lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite. We're able to renew and produce all of these for renewable energy for these batteries. We have a facility, 137,000 square feet, state-of-the-art battery metal recycling facility in northern Nevada, in the same industrial park that Gigafactory number 1 sits in. It's not why we chose that location. We chose that location because the jurisdiction of Nevada, the infrastructure of Nevada, is incredibly supportive for permitting and enabling these kind of renewable activities. We believe we'll be the first to be fully permitted in this line of business. We believe we'll be the first to be crushing and producing high purity black masses. And we believe we'll be the first because we believe we're the only ones even talking about extracting lithium on the front end. We have downstream technology in development to get cobalt, nickel, manganese, graphite. We have downstream technology in development for cathode active and precursor cathode active materials. That's a bonus because we make good money just on the lithium and the black mass. So we've de-risked the model with our own technology, delivering what we know we can do. We should see production of black mass before the end of this year, moving to full scale in 2023. Just as, and even more exciting, we have a deep portfolio of intellectual property to produce cellulosic fuels from this woody biomass. We have our chief engineer who has built over 20 full-scale commercial biofuel facilities, our chief technology officer who spent over a decade perfecting the notion of extracting cellulosic sugar and now extracting the carbon neutral equivalent of petroleum from the same wasted feedstock. This feedstock is at a fraction of what you see other ethanol producers doing today. Literally, the woody biomass is at a fraction of the corn feedstock, yet the carbon impact is multiples, hence the revenue is much higher. So we have a lower cost, higher revenue, and with just 1 million tons of woody biomass, a fraction of the materials that we're targeting and available. We can produce 100 million gallons of these biofuels with revenues of over 500 to 600 million, depending on the price, and those are conservative price numbers. So we're talking about something remarkable here in terms of its profitability and in terms of its impact. There isn't a debate of the role of biofuels over the next 20 or 30 years, going from a small percentage of what's currently being used to the vast majority of what's going to be used. We could not be in a better place with better markets, except these markets are here today. We're looking to get our first facility and 100 million gallons started, facility 1. The market today is over 16 billion gallons just for ethanol, What's unique about our process is that we take half of that feedstock and produce cellulosic sugar, produces ethanol. I already mentioned, fraction of the cost, higher revenue. One facility. Typically, a million tons would produce 65, 70 million gallons of ethanol. Our breakthrough was taking the other half of that feedstock and being able to generate a co-product that is literally the carbon neutral equivalent to petroleum. We're branding it Bioleum. That's our trademark. What can we do with it? We can produce diesels, sustainable aviation fuel, marine fuel, gasolines, pretty much anything you can do with petroleum, we're looking to do with this. Our first facility will be about 70-30. 1 ton feedstock, 70% ethanol, 30% diesel. That'll change over time. In what direction? Less ethanol, more biofuels other than ethanol, higher revenue, higher value. We can do that now. The chain is remarkable because we're starting with mill residues, we're starting with sawdust, we're starting with slash and forestry wastes. There alone, we're targeting 100 million tons of available feedstock, as I mentioned. 10 million of that number gives us our first 10 facilities. 10 facilities is not 500 to 600 million, it's 500 to 600 million times 10. It's 5 to 6 billion in revenue from a small fraction of the available waste feedstocks. But it grows from there as we reforest, as we look at reforestation and these crops as being the renewable oil well. And our technology is the drill. That's the end of my prepared remarks. Would love to take Q&A if there's a little extra time here in the equation. Yes, sir?
I don't know, Corrado. I invested in this company. I thought it was a gold company.
You did. You weren't wrong.
I didn't hear a word once come out of your mouth. Been a shareholder for over a decade, and I've seen my investment go down 90%. When you were here 2 years ago, you kept talking about Tesla and how close you are and your relationship with Musk. And
Was I saying that 2 years ago? So let me talk about the mining. I mean, please. It's for those of you who don't know, we've changed our name. We're formally getting approval at the annual meeting this year from Comstock Mining Inc. to Comstock Inc. Okay, very deliberate because of these 2 lines of businesses and the acquisitions that we did last year. Okay. We kept the same symbol because our legacy is rooted in the Comstock LODE. We're New York Stock Exchange listed. We do have 10 square miles of mineral properties. 2 weeks ago, a technical report was published on the mineral resource estimate to the north. Next month or so, we'll issue a second technical report on the mineral resource in the south. We're monetizing those businesses. It's a good time to be thinking about that. We have one partner already who's created a tremendous amount of monetization and who spent millions of dollars advancing those projects. The assets are highly valuable, right? But we have a much, much bigger return, a much more explosive growth, a much more impactful series of businesses now that we're moving forward. We're not ignoring those, we're monetizing them. We'll do the best monetizations for our shareholders, and it's very active, right? So those assets are in place, none of them are gone. The foundation of that value is still there. It seems to be a good time. There's a lot of interest with gold hitting where it's hitting. I listened very intently to the Allegiant presentation. It's very familiar to me in terms of Nevada gold assets. So that's a bonus for us. Mark?
just two things. One, first, could you just kind of walk through the milestones for cellulose and fuel business as well as the battery cycle?
Yes, sir.
So people can kind of see
Yes, sir.
those pilot plans.
Yes, sir.
That cellulose business, you talked about the step outside of the agreement, maybe a pulp and paper manufacturing.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah. So let me do it in the reverse order then, Mark, as you said it. So from lithium-ion battery recycling facility, we've secured this state-of-the-art facility in northern Nevada, 137,000 square feet. We also have an R&D facility with pilot scale activities in both of these businesses active right now as we speak. So Mark, to answer your question, we are now commissioning the pilot scale for battery crushing and separating for this pure black mass. That's going to be happening now until the summer. As soon as the permits are received, we will be decommissioning and relocating that to the Nevada facility. Frankly, we would have started in Nevada if there wasn't a permitting regiment there that required it. We expect to have that up and running by the end of this year. We are concurrently working on the lithium extraction in the Wisconsin facility, and as soon as we get the crushing and separating up and running, as soon as we're producing those pure black masses, obviously it's a prerequisite, it feeds the lithium extractor, then we'll be extracting lithium in 2023. Simultaneously with that, our partner is finalizing the prototype, almost the same time as we're finalizing our prototype for crushing and separating for cathode active materials. That equipment will come in the same time frame because it's tied to the exact same permit. Once that's in place, we'll be piloting the cathode active materials as well. Everything intended to scale up 2023. Okay, very low levels of volume, profitable business with those components. So switching to cellulosic, interestingly, the time frame is similar for the proof of the pilot scale. Today, we can produce cellulosic sugar and ethanol in Wisconsin, ready to go, ready to go. We are working on the perfection of the second co-product, which is the Bioleum. We can make Bioleum today, but we want to have the same type of pilot scale proof so that what we know we can demonstrate to the outside world. That will be done by the end of 2022. So a tremendous amount is happening. Now there's another series of very incredible milestones also happening at similar time, is we're securing feedstocks and we're securing offtakes. The offtakes are remarkable here because there's such an overwhelming demand. You guys are familiar with Gevo, right? They've announced offtake agreements in the billions of dollars with companies like Chevron, companies like Delta Airlines. Tiny, tiny fraction of what those companies need to actually meet their targets by 2030. We're going to be right there with them. Those conversations are already happening. Okay, so you know, on the LINICO side, we're securing good relationships and good feedstock sources. The end markets are a little bit more commodity based. On this side, we're securing the offtakes because the feedstock is less onerous. So very, very exciting time for us. I mean, literally next 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, but right through to the end of the year, where the platform, the team, the activities will all be in place. We've gone from 10 employees to 35 with incredible depth of competency, engineering, project management, operations, material science. Very, very robust. It's a different company, there's no question. There's no question. Yes, sir?
Crypto mining is a ever-growing industry globally. The biggest pain point is energy. Pathway, the solution is sustainable energy. Have you looked into that?
So the honest answer is we have discussed it. We haven't prioritized it at the high end of the scale, but we're starting to feel those questions and those inquiries coming because I think people are starting to understand and see, you know, that we're a source of these renewable energies. So we can talk about that maybe a little bit more offline, but we feel the momentum of that coming. Any other questions, please? We're very excited about who we are. We're very excited about where we're going. It's going to be coming rapid, very, very rapid. Again, we have facilities in Wisconsin, facilities in Nevada. We've got a robust team engaged in these feedstock and offtake contracts, and the technologies, it's good to go. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Just to clarify,
Please.
Is good to go, or is it already operational?
So we have good to go in the context that we validated technical and economic feasibility for crushing, separating, right through to saleable products where we make money on the lithium battery ion side. What's still to go is enhancements of that, higher value, higher revenues. On the cellulosic fuel side, we have and have demonstrated the ability to take the woody biomass all the way to ethanol, technical feasibility, economic feasibility. And we've also extracted the other co-product, thank you, the Bioleum, because it's a co-located facility, because it's using the exact same feedstock, it only enhances the existing economic feasibility that we've proven on the ethanol side, right? So now it's a question of scaling it up, getting into production, making the cash flow. So we'll have the end of this year, both pilots will be fully demonstrable, up and running, demonstrated to everyone. 2023, we'll have the lithium-ion battery business commercial and running in the Nevada facility. We've identified the site for the cellulosic fuel facility. That's more early 2025 before it's up and running. Okay? Outstanding. Thank you all for your interest, and